Welcome to the Fellas Podcast, the ultimate Formula One podcast for fans by fans, where we discuss all the happenings in the world of Formula One. Now, let's get into it.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Fellas Podcast. This weekend was the Austrian Grand Prix, which was pretty exciting. I think we've been having some good Grand Prix for the last few races. Ray is not in agreement. Simon is. Let's start back to the sprint race. What do you guys think about the sprint race? Simon?
Thought the sprint race was going to tell me everything I needed to know about what was going to happen today, but it lied to me. I think the sprint race had Verstappen, Piastri came in second, Lando Norris came in third, Russell was fourth, and I think Hamilton was sixth, and I think Sainz was fifth. Right. And I thought that was going to be the order for qualifying for the actual Grand Prix, and then it wasn't. Right, everything just went completely different in the sense of the top eight. So it tells me everyone is pretty close except for Lando and Verstappen. Right. Those two are pretty consistent, and then from there it's Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, Piastri, and I'll throw in Checo for honorable mention there. Right. But we'll talk about him later. But overall, I thought the sprint race was entertaining. I actually do enjoy the sprint race weekends. Okay. I don't like watching the practices because to me the practice is for the drivers, it's really not for the spectators. And the sprint race is for the spectators, right? So you get rid of two practices. I really enjoy the sprint races. I really enjoy the qualifying because to me that's how I gauge. If I was a betting man, that's how I would gauge the race and bet on the race going forward. Right. This weekend I probably would have lost money, but overall I thought the sprint races was great.
Well, I know the practice normally is for the people that are at the track because it gives them another opportunity to see the cars, but yeah, for television viewers, not so much. But okay.
But it's more for the team, right? Because the reality is, right, that you come with every team has a logbook for each track, right? And so it gives you a starting point on where you want to set the car up. But since, they have upgrades and things of that nature, right? And because Pirelli's tire compound, my opinion, let me roll it back, tire compound is so wacky, right? They don't know how their car is going to behave on it. So it's for the team to run the tire with different setups and different weight in the car to get a feel for how they're going to then use that tire during the race. That might take away from it, right? And just to see how the car responds depending on whatever upgrades they have on the car, how it responds. And there's an opportunity for them to then start tweaking their configuration, right, to see what's going on. So that's what practice is for. So it's kind of for the team. Yeah, it's for the team in a sense, yes, and for the people that attend. But that's that's the real thing that happens, is that the team is preparing for that race, want to work out and see where their notes are.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're right. Yeah, because from a spectator point of view, that was my comment. But you're right. The purpose is also for the team to know how to set up the car. Yeah, for that Grand Prix. But yeah, okay. What about qualifying? What do you guys think about that?
The FIA and its wisdom showed him a man, Piastri, right? They drove the nail right through the guy's heart. They said that the track was they did some changes to the track to make sure that there was gravel instead of runoff, right? To help with the track boundaries. And when they look at Piastri, yes, he came through the corner carrying speed, right? In order for him to, as part of that speed, the car needed to drift out. If he'd have went too far, he would have been in the gravel, right? So the gravel is already a barrier there. So he drifted out and, for like a fraction, a majority of the tire came over at one point, and they squeezed him on that. I'm not on board with that because that was, dude, he didn't even drive for the full length of it. Is coming out the corner because of the momentum of the car. He had to go over. The car pushed it over there, and then he was back right in line at that point. So, Come on, you know what I'm saying, man? It's just everybody else is doing a similar thing, right? So anyway, that's maybe I might be biased, but I think they were a little harsh on Piastri to try stab him in the heart.
Well, I'm going to share some of the qualifying results here, and you can see it from Q1 through Q3 how, and I hate to say this in front of Ray, Max Verstappen was really ahead of everybody else, especially Lando by at least 0.3, right? Especially in qualifying 3.
Right.
And even though everyone was in 104 area, you can see that Max Verstappen compared to everybody else, he had 0.3, right? And that's why he was pulling during the race in the very beginning. But it's a full race, Ray. It's a full race. We'll get into that in a minute.
All right, yeah, we get into it because okay, yeah, we're gonna get into that, bro. Okay, yeah.
But on the contrary of that, look at Sergio Perez. He's a full second behind his teammate, right? So that's telling me that it really just can't be driver skill. Are we saying that Sergio is a second worse than Verstappen, and he wasn't last year? But we'll get into that again. But yeah, the qualifying, to me, everyone kind of finished in their respective areas, except for Charles Leclerc, who made a mistake in that first lap.
Yeah.
And everyone else kind of took their positions from qualifying. So qualifying to me right now is telling me you really have to have good pit and tire management on these races. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in Silverstone.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, if as we get to it, if what happened in the race hadn't happened to the 2 lead cars, they would have ultimately finished in the position they qualified in for the most part. Got it.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Because somebody said way back when, right? That Red Bull has a faster car and like nobody's gonna be able to touch him. And so I could have sworn somebody said that.
Somebody said that. Somebody said that, but I don't think it's as fast. Or I think again, McLaren.
Somebody did touch him. That's why he was out of the race.
Yeah.
So let's get into that. All right.
So with that, let's jump into the race. Let's start off with the start of the race.
I took away, what was happening with Lewis, right? That's kind of caught my attention. That I thought, Lewis was there when he went after George, took the spot, right? Mm-hmm. And then George took it back from him, right? And then he fell into the range of Sainz, right? It just seems that ever since after that, I'm not sure what really happened to him, because after his little tussle with Sainz, he just like fell back and he's like, he was, I don't know if he was biding time to say, all right, we're going to strategize and we're going to make another push at another time during the race, but he kind of fell off. That's the one that jumped out at me, during the start of the race, right? That I thought Lewis was going to be there and go at it. And then all of a sudden, it kind of tailed off there. So that was kind of, I was a little confused. Right?
Well, if what it was that he got around Sainz first and then went after George, right? Because George was up ahead of him.
Right. Yeah.
But it seems that, he got around Sainz by actually leaving the track.
Actually, not necessarily. So on the first corner of the start, Russell and Hamilton got around Sainz, and Sainz and Lewis were battling for 2 corners. Got ahead. He then passed George Russell. Russell passed him, and then I think it was 1 lap later, Sainz came and passed him on the straight, and then they were battling for a little bit.
Okay.
And then Lewis was getting ready to. Well, I shouldn't say he passed Lewis. You're right.
He gave it back.
He gave it back to him because his team said, go ahead and give it back because they didn't want the 10-second penalty.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. He in battling Carlos, he ended up going off track for a moment.
Right. You're right.
Then went on to attack George, and then George came back on him. But then when he fell back, that's when that happened. So that's what played out for Lewis. But I believe in going off track, he damaged the floor of his car.
He damaged the floor of the car on the curb.
Yeah, Toto said that in a post-race press conference that, that ended up damaging him. And then some other things that happened with Lewis down the road that really, basically killed his race.
He still came in 4th.
Yeah, he's good. But, I think he might have been up there. I think he
needed to be in the top tree. You need to be in that top tree, people. You know what I'm saying? You needed to be one of those up there. But anyway.
But he would have if he didn't damage the floor, because he did pass Sainz and Russell.
Right.
He might have won the race too Think about it.
Correct.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be too hard on Lewis. You know,
It's an observation, right? I was just trying to understand the picture from outside, what's going on, right? So that's basically that's what I took away from it because, if you want to, finish up on the Lewis thing is that, he also got pegged by, and they still can't believe that, Piastri at 100 and some odd miles an hour coming through a corner was able to see that he crossed the line because the car got twisted on him. So he had to grab it back because the ass went on him. So it caused him to cross the pit entry line. And he got the penalty for that.
Oh, you mean Lewis?
Yeah, Lewis. Yeah.
On pit entry. Well, I mean, listen, I hear you, but that rule is there. They all know it. Just like you can't cross the line coming out of the pits. Because, that one pit out is safety. Pit in, they want it. They want you inside that line. So I saw it. It was marginal, but he crossed it. His left front tire. From the angle I saw, definitely went over it. So, it's unfortunate. So I don't blame the FIA on the rule for that. The rule is there. You knew, so you got to take. You got to be.
Yeah, well, if they're going to put it down for everybody, then sure,
and which they have. I think they have. I don't think they have special treatment for certain people on that. That's a good segue into all the track changes that have taken place since last year. Because last year they had 120 violations of people going off track. And that was a race that I was just shocked that so many people would just didn't care about the rules in that sense. So now they put gravel traps there on almost every turn. So if you went into the gravel, you're definitely losing time, which which I think is smart.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you have to. I mean, it's like anything else. There are people that if there's a loophole, they will exploit it, and that's what happened. They had a time in F1 where these circuits were being redesigned by Herman Tilke, and his designs, like Coda, is you have the track, but then right there you have this runoff area. So what was happening is that the drivers are like, hey, on this corner, I can exceed the track limit because there was no rule then, and make my time up. So now that they don't want that, you better put in some gravel traps or something to make them pay for it. If they do it, if you want them to stay on track.
Well, because, they wanted, it was done partially, for the clean for safety, because they changed the tarmac on that outside. They can change the abrasiveness of the tarmac. So if you lock up all fours, it's supposed to scrub speed, right? But the ultimate thing was also that the race would be continuous. It would not have a lot of safety cars because once you get beached, it's safety cars out for you get unbeached. So, that was kind of the strategy. From back in the day, but they didn't. As I mentioned before that I just kind of went down rough with me with what they did to Piastri in the qualifying because, dude, it's there already. If he screws up, he's beached, right? You know what I'm saying? And everybody else came through that corner, and I am sure he's not the only one for a matter of maybe a second had one tire come closer to the edge of the inside of that line to then say, hey. You're off track.
Well, let me ask you a question because I thought just about the Piastri thing for a second because I thought I saw where there was I don't know which section of qualifying it was where he basically had, let's just say, the whole left side of his car off, two wheels, right?
Yeah. So when they played the playback, right, they showed that his right rear touched the gravel.
Okay.
Yeah, his right rear touched the gravel. The car, while the nose was still on the pavement, so the ass of the car walked on him.
Okay.
Right. So I didn't get to see an in-car camera to see what his hands was doing, but from one of the replays, he touched the gravel. All right, and I guess with that type of setup, then yes, it calls you to you have to correct, right? Or he could be difficult like some of the other people and just beach that sucker and stop the whole qualifying because it's been done in the past. Right. You know what I'm saying? So he's just trying to keep rolling. So so I don't know, for some reason that one kind of went down a little rough for me with Piastri. So I was just like,
But I think if they're trying to keep them on track, yes, you're gonna have to put some gravel traps back. Maybe not to the extent that I've seen some that looked like a whole pond on the side of the corner that you would get beached, but enough that it could trip, if your tire gets off there, you could lose control of your car to keep the driver back on track.
Yeah, I don't remember which track it is, but I don't know if it's still around. But I remember one track did alternating setup where they did gravel, then pavement, then gravel, right? Because still it's safety, right? So you want something to arrest the speed of the car before you hit the object to take all that energy. So so you still got to put enough there for it to do. But yeah, I could have. There was a track, I can't remember if it comes back to me, but yeah, I had one where it alternated. You had gravel pit, then some the tarmac, then gravel pit again. Right. So, but yeah, it's, I think it's a good thing. We're going to have to sacrifice the flow of the broadcast and stuff like that because, some tracks people are going to beach quite a bit until they figure out what they need to do because you're trying to carry maximum speed through a corner. Right. So you got to figure out, what that speed is at the same time you're at the mercy of your tire during that time. Right. What's going to happen. So. Right.
Well, sometimes, hey, unless the penalty outweighs any potential gain, people keep doing it. So, I understand safety, yes, but if the drivers know, like, hey, if I try to go off track at this corner, I could end up beached and lose my race. That'll keep them on track.
True. Yeah.
So let's get into Max and Lando's battle. Ray, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to come out. FIA caused that crash. Okay. FIA plays favorites. Okay. Red Bull is the FIA's team, and they don't like anybody else because they showed that on the subsequent before that there were 2 opportunities for FIA to squash Max, and they didn't do it. Right. Lando complained to them that yes, under braking you can do one move. Right. If you're going to be passed, you can do one move to counteract the move. Right. But you can't be coming back again and going back. It's not touring cars, as Julian Palmer says, which you agree. These are open wheel cars. Right. Yeah. And Max was coming back and covering it. Right. Because now we're seeing the real Max show up to town because, even he was complaining about the dive bombs. But that's what he's done subsequently in every other race. That's how he's gotten where he got. We could do what Lewis went out there when the FIA again stepped in and robbed the race and gave it to Red Bull. He dive bombed Lewis in the corner. Right. And the rule says, you have to leave the car room to operate. That's what the rule, because I haven't checked it today, right? Yeah. Because, yes, whoever has the corner, yes, inside has the corner, whatever. But it states that the rule is that you need to leave some room for the other guy, right? Yeah. And so now Max, Lando was doing to Max what he's done to everybody else, and he didn't like the medicine. Then the second one was he kept his position after coming off track, right? Yeah. Remember that one where Lando got in the corner, got there, and then he kept it, and FIA said, nothing, crickets, right? But then they turn around to penalize Lando. Yeah. So again, it's the FIA problem. They're the one caused them now that Lando's got to, McLaren's got to go build a car to get it done because they wouldn't have stepped up and do the right thing and stop playing favorites to Red Bull, right? So anyway, that's my little thing.
I'll just put a couple things in, Simon, and I'm going to turn it over to you. The thing that I've seen, and I know what you're talking about, I have seen it over the years. Same with Michael, a little bit with Alonso. I haven't seen it that much with Lewis. But yes, the FIA sometimes, or the sporting body, won't want to come in and clamp down on certain tactics they may see, let's say that the world champion is doing, right? So I've seen it with Michael, and like I said, it was Brazil where Juan Pablo and the Williams, that was the first time I saw a driver. I know it happened before, but I wasn't watching F1 then. That was the first time I saw a driver do to Michael Schumacher what he has done. Juan bullied him off the track and took the spot. And Juan was new to F1. So that and it was to the point that in the press conference, I was watching and I watched Michael and I was like, wow, he's shook because he's never been treated like that on track, right? Because he was top dog. Max, same thing. It's like, yeah, I saw that too. I was like, hold on, he went off track. How is he still in front? You should be coming over the radio to say, Max, you got to give the spot back. They didn't want to do it. I would recommend anybody interested, check out Formula1.com's the post-race interview. Will Buxton, Julian Palmer, forgive me, the other two guys, I forgot their names.
Lawrence Barretto and the guy from Italy. Yeah.
Yes,
Lawrence
yes.
Barretto and the guy from
Yeah, thank you. Check that interview out. I loved what Julian Palmer said. He was honest. He was honest. He said it, just like you said. Lando was doing it with more respect to try and pass Max, more respect
they all did.
than Max had done to Lewis when he did that in 2021, dive bombing him, right?
Yeah.
But I go back to this thing about these world champions. You know, I always say they're all a bit dickish when they don't get their way, right?
Okay.
It's all in that circle. I'm sorry, I just got to say it.
Last week, I had mentioned to you guys that eventually, by the end of the year, Lando and Verstappen are going to have some words.
Yes.
Right? You saw the beginning of that frustration on this race.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the post-game interview with Lando.
Yeah, I did.
But the interviewer asked Lando, you know, are you eventually going to go talk to Verstappen and kind of, you know, talk about the incident? He's like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. He's got to come talk to me.
Yes.
Right. And that's telling me right now he's mad.
Oh, yes, he is. He is.
And, you know, I think they're still going to be good friends, but it's hard to be friends in a competitive sport. And I don't care what it is, if you're going up against each other. Right. Until after you retire. After you retire, you go back to being the friends. But if you're competing and you want the same goal and you want that same trophy, there's going to be some friction. There's going to be some aggravation. There's going to be some frustration. There's going to be races like this where Verstappen is like, he's going back to the old Verstappen now. He moved twice. Yeah. He did a double move twice on Lando and didn't get any penalty for it. Right. Makes no sense whatsoever. Right. But I'm a little biased and I need to check myself a little bit. But I was hoping that it would have been the other way around. I was hoping that Max didn't finish the race and Lando was able to come in seventh.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'll agree with that because, you know, after seeing him do the tap thing, I'm like, when he got the puncture, right? I was like, you kind of got what you deserved there, bro. And I thought Lando was able, because Lando scampered away. You know, I was like, okay, Lando is in the thing, so he's still in the mix. Not to know that Lando was damaged also. So, you know, I had that same. I reached that same, you know, what turnaround fair play, right? I thought that he got what he deserved on that roof. So, but that, you know, that wasn't the case, you know. So it's just messed up, you know, because again, you know, that all that pressure showed up because of, you know, some missteps that Red Bull did. And hold up, there was when Lando was coming in and Max was already in the pits, right? When they had a little mess up on the tire, right? They let Max out in front of Lando entry, so Lando couldn't even enter his pit stall properly. If I didn't call that, you know what I'm saying? So again, you know, when I say FIA, I'm including the stewards that were officiating this race, right? But they are the ones, in my opinion, that caused this result, right? And then, but on top of, you know, but rolling back, yes, the true Max is showing up because you know what came back to me while you were talking, Simon? Remember Imola, where Max ended up on top of Lewis's car, right? Right. So and I'm hoping that Lando takes this as a sign that he's not going to back down because he's a bully, and you know, I don't know if it's a linear thing when his father was doing it, if it was a similar way, right? But yes, but you know, he's a bully, and you got to stand up to bullies. So you know what I'm saying? You got to take the attitude, like I think where Lewis is at now, is like, yo, either we all crash, or you let me through. But that's the attitude that's got to come up to. That's where it's going. We're going to wreck some cars today because my real estate is my real estate. You want to come?
I don't have anything to rebut on that. I just want to say one thing to you, Ray. I know last week you still think that Verstappen is ahead of Lando, and he probably is just based on the qualifying seconds. There are 0.3 seconds on qualifying. However, Lando was running him down again, right? Even after the pit, and even though Red Bull made a mistake and they lost 3 seconds, even after that, Lando was running them down. They both had brand new tires, right? And Lando was running him down and trying to pass him, and Verstappen wouldn't let him pass. So you can't tell me right now, in my opinion, that they're not close to passing Red Bull at this point in time. He was running him down.
Hold on. In the last pit stop, Lando was on fresh rubber, Max was on old, on scrub.
Yes, right? Old stuff. Yes,
right.
I was hoping that would sneak over this conversation. You guys
no, bro. No.
But
listen,
but hold on, Rick. But I will concede what Simon is saying, and just to say a couple things real quick. Yeah, Lando is running him down, and just to backtrack on what Ray was saying before about the FIA not calling on Max. The rule is there that you can't move twice in the braking zone. Once you're braking and you're coming down, you hold your spot. Max kept drifting, right? Kept drifting and pushing him out. I saw the conversation where they ultimately crashed, where Martin Brundle's son, I forgot his first name, he was saying that he didn't think Max knew Lando was there. And I was like, wait a minute. So
he's an amateur?
Yeah, right. So I was like, wait a minute. He clearly, any racing driver coming down the straight and you're coming into the corner, you're going in for your position, you're trying to block the guy behind you. You're going to know where he is. Lando was already over towards the outside, right? Coming down. So you're going to say he doesn't know? Max is a dirty driver, right? And I'll say that. He's a dirty driver. And yes, the pressure is on. Lando is putting pressure on him. And to come back to what I think you said, Ray, is that, yeah, this is what they all do. And it started with, I know I've said it before, it started with Senna. Martin Brundle said it in an interview back then, that Ayrton would put his car in a position that left the accident up to you, right? And he said, if you jumped out of the way, he was like, he knew he got you. If not, you crashed. That's what Max needs now. And that's kind of, Lando didn't intend to do it. Max caused it, but that's what's happening. The pecking order is being established now. Like, listen, Lando was trying to be gentlemanly about it. No.
Yes.
Listen, you got to put a set of coins in your glove because that's what he's doing. And you got to go and try to box his head off in the ring. Yeah. Anyway.
So just to close this out, I think the FIA should change one rule. This is just me personally. If you're fighting for position, first place position and second place, and you cause an accident, you should be penalized for the next race. I don't want to hear this 10 seconds, 20 seconds for this race. You should be penalized for the next race, right? This way, it forces them to play nice, right? And I hear what you're saying. You put your car in a position and you let the other guy choose. Yes, you let him choose, but there's a choice there,
right?
Versus if you're playing dirty at 150 miles per hour, your choices are limited, right? You can only brake or turn the wheel and stay on track at a delineated spot, right? So if you're going to cause an accident like Max did today, I don't mind him coming in fifth place. He came in fifth place, but there should be a 3 positions penalty or 2 positions penalty on the next race if you cause a wreck if you're running for first and second.
I agree with you, but I think the rules are there. They're just not enforcing them consistently, right? Because how many times did Max move on? You're allowed one, and how many times did he do that? No call from the FIA to say, hey, right? To let him know we're watching you, right? Then you have, like we said, Lando got the spot, was there. Max went off track, came back on. No call from the FIA. He's off track. You penalize people for coming off track. He was off track, and he jumped back in front. No, you got to swap it back, right? The pass was made. So the rules are there, but they choose when and who to enforce them on. So maybe if Ray said, if they had enforced a couple of those, they might not have made the contact, and we might have then had it really decided on track in a different way. But I agree.
So I want to circle back on Simon. Yeah, again, McLaren ain't there with Red Bull yet. It is a quick car, because again, what I say is that when Max pulls, McLaren needs to be right there and say, "Yo, I'm still here." When Max went right, so that initial gap that they get off of the start, when I see McLaren cover that within like 2 seconds and just right there, then I say, okay, McLaren has arrived. McLaren has gotten a lot faster, right? And because of the circumstances that go out throughout the race, it has allowed them to come up and be very competitive against Red Bull. and with Lando's driving. But again, they still have a little bit more pass. Even I believe Lando said it during the qualifying that they didn't have the pace to go after the Red Bull, right?
They have pace
again,
to go after Verstappen.
Right.
Well, yes, Verstappen.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I'm not
Well,
talking
we know
about
where the other Red Bull is.
Yeah.
Because they're
We're not
both
talking
ahead
about,
of that Red Bull, so it ain't Red Bull.
So Verstappen, right? Setup. So it's just, I'm waiting for that, right? Yes, it's entertaining to see that McLaren's coming back, but I'm waiting to see when it's not some, like strategy dependent, very strategy dependent, and then errors for them to get on that bumper. Right. And to be there. I want to see him roll up after, like, when they hit the goal, as long as, McLaren gets a good start with Red Bull, and 2 laps in, they're sitting right there at the bumper right behind him. So then I say yes, McLaren has definitely arrived with the car and the package that they need to push on him. Right now they're pushing, but it will send a bigger message. You step on it and you roll out, and he's like, yo, the guy's still there on your bumper, bro. You know what I'm saying? Is that and you roll on it again some more. He's like, yo, the guy's still there on your bumper. That's like, yo, you don't got what you think you got no more. You know what I'm saying? So just my observation.
I truly believe right now Max Verstappen is the best racer or driver in Formula One. He doesn't make mistakes, and he's aggressive, and he doesn't make the mistakes that Piastri and Lando makes. He drives a full race, and then he has a strong team behind him as well, so that helps. Sergio has the same team, right? Same car, same modifications, and he's not doing what Max Verstappen is doing, and it's a major gap. He came in 7th today. Yeah. He came in what? He came in 8th or 8 or 6 spots before on the last race, and the race before that. It's Max Verstappen. He runs a very calculated and precise race, I believe, right? And I think Lando is right there, but he makes small mistakes here, and I think his team makes small mistakes, and it's costing them. I just think Verstappen is probably the best driver right now, and unless he makes a mistake. All right, well, let's hear it.
Well, I know what you're saying. He's one of the best drivers out, but he happens to have the best car. Lando is still coming up. I'm going to reserve. He's strong. He's still developing, right? They all went through that. Lewis went through that. Alonso, Vettel, and now Max. So I think Lando continues to improve each time, and he'll get there. McLaren is improving. I mean, Max is world champion. Respect, to that, but Lewis is consistent. Alonso is consistent. They just don't have the best car right now. And then George, I'm watching George too. I like George. I think he's good too. But Max is good, but he has the best car. That's I don't think he's the best driver on the grid. I think he is one of the best drivers on the grid.
Okay, and I respect that. I can see that perspective. Sergio is just screwing up the data for me.
I agree.
He's just screwing up the data because I'm thinking they both have the best cars.
Yeah, and hey, and that's what separates these drivers, right? It's that teams want a pair of drivers that are pushing each other. Sergio clearly is not pushing Max. Max isn't even thinking about him. And here's the sad part about it. Right. Who? Sergio who? And here's the sad part about it. What was the race where Max came under pressure, and if he had Sergio behind him, he could have alleviated that pressure to give him the chance to run up ahead, right? When Lando was coming. Sergio's nowhere there. So Max is basically a one-driver team. He doesn't have a co-driver with him because Sergio is, I won't use the term somebody here used, but Sergio is somewhere else on the track, just doing this thing. I don't know what happened to him.
All right. So, yeah, I agree with what you said. No, I don't agree with Simon. Okay, let me just start off there. All right. I'll give him a little bit, very small. That, but the phrasing is he's one of the better drivers on the grid.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not going to take that away from him. right? Even with his flaw,
Right.
but he's not the best,
Right.
because the only way I would come to that conclusion is if it became a spec race where they had the car, everything was tied down, everything was the same, right? And then you guys go at it and you show a consistent way that you're able to take that spec car and pull out, win from everybody, then I could say that. But he's one of the one of the good drivers that are on that on the grid, right? And it's just and just also rolling into what you said about Sergio. I'm going to be respectful. Is just that. Look what happened, right? Lando was out. Look who's here to pick it up, Mr. Piastri, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'm not sure what's going on, because I think I saw an interview with from F1 TV where they interviewed Christian Horner, and the young lady that was doing interviews asked, so moved the topic to Sergio, what happened with his race, and and Christian talked, but you could tell that what he was saying was just made up gobbledygook just for the media, because. Well, he just gave, like he didn't want to air the laundry outside. Put it that way. You know what I'm saying? But for me, even in that response, it seemed that he was a little bit frustrated that he wasn't there to pick up the baton. Right?
He should be.
So yeah, which he should be. So because again, just like yes, nothing to take away from George. George is out there and he's pushing it. He's making his name. Right. And props to George on that. I think his win is well deserved. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I say the same thing about Piastri. You know what I'm saying? He is one of the good drivers out there.
Yep.
Right. Because, as we talked about in the beginning, if he didn't get penalized in the beginning, he would have been P2. It might have been a different race altogether. Right. So, so it's just. So, I can't say that he's the best driver. He's one of.
Yeah.
As you guys were saying that, I was asking myself, okay, let's put another person in Verstappen's car. Let's put George in Verstappen's car. Would George have the same results?
Yes, I agree. I believe so. Yes.
I said to myself, yes, he probably would have the same results.
Yeah, and you know why I can say that? Because he's racing against a former world champion himself, and just from us on the outside, he's not shabby. He puts the fire in Lewis's butt too, So I think he would do the same with Max as well.
I'll go as far as Piastri would be doing the same thing. You understand me? Piastri is a good driver. He's one of the good drivers on that grid. Just because he's a rookie means nothing. This dude, you watch him driving, he is pushing that car as much as possible to get the best out of that car. So if you put Piastri in that Red Bull, he would be there too.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. Well,
you put him in Checo's car, you think it'd be?
Yes, he'll be there with it. He'll be there. He'll be there with it.
I don't know what's going on with Sergio, but he just disappeared.
And it could be something behind the scenes that we don't know about, right?
Exactly. So that's why I'm refraining from my response.
Just distracted.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm saying that's probably the reason why they re-signed him, because they know what's going on, and we're not privy to it, right? Correct. Because based on the results, I don't see why they re-signed him.
No. So my opinion is that, as I think I said last week, Max sees him as not a competitor. So Max okay with him. That's why he's around. This is my take on it. That, yes, he wouldn't compete with Max, but they were hoping that he would be hanging close enough within the top 5 that if something went south, he could pick up the baton and bring him bring on the podium, right? But he's not proving to do that right now.
Well, that's the same thing with Mercedes and Lewis with Bottas. Lewis wanted him to stay because Lewis had him covered. But again, the team is there for maximum points. They're also, they're serious. So they got rid of him. Same thing with Sergio. It's like Max may like him being there because he's no pressure to him, but the team is not going to like him being there because he's not bringing home any results. Like the car, like we said, is better than that. If it's winning, he should be in second place. And worse at third. Go ahead.
Last year and the year before that, he was in second in points. Something's going on.
Something's going on. You're right. Don't know what it is, but something's going on. I looked at while looking at the race, I see that Daniel finished ahead of Yuki again. Finished in the points. He finished 9th, which is good because he's someone else that's the rumors that he may not be back next year because he doesn't have, he's not performing like he used to, put it that way. But then the other team that I liked was Haas with Hulkenberg and K-Mag. They both of them got points.
Yeah. Did you guys notice how Lance Stroll was beating our boy 3 races in a row?
Yeah, I've noticed.
And he didn't finish in points, but he still beat Alonso. Yeah, so 3 races in a row, fellas.
Yeah,
that's all right. It's good to have money. When you own the team, you can do what you want.
All right.
But okay, so if that's it, I think our next race is Silverstone. So another back-to-back next weekend. We're back at it again.
All right.
So we're gonna
predictions real quick.
True.
Yo, what's up with all this prediction stuff, bro?
No,
but come on.
Yeah,
our fans want to hear it.
Max Verstappen for the win.
All right, Simon.
I have to go with Lando, man. It's his home race.
Okay.
It's home race. And I think he's going to have a bone to pick with Max.
Oh, he will.
And I think it's either going to be another crash or he's going to win.
I'll go with that. I think it's going to be Lando, Max, and Piastri.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to have two Brits on that podium.
Red Bull's going to be there, for sure.
Right.
McLaren will be there for sure. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if Mercedes is going to be there in what capacity, right? But so it could be Mercedes or Ferrari. I would want to lead more to Mercedes because it's 2 British drivers. It's their own home turf, right? And and they've said in the past, I know Lewis said in the past that the crowd support has lifted his spirits so much that it's helped him with his performance, right? So if they can get the same lift, because they'll have 3 British drivers on the grid this time, right? Yeah. And if they can get them lifted, then Red Bull would have to be on their game as far as tire strategy, pit, and all this other stuff, so that in order for them to stay, because they'll be coming, right? I think they'll be coming, right? Well, so we'll see, but definitely, Red Bull's going to be there for sure, and I'll give McLaren will be on there too.
Right. Yeah, I don't know about Mercedes yet. They still have a ways to go to get up to McLaren and then Red Bull. So. I'm not sure. So if Oscar has a good qualifying, I could see him being third.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, but George is going to push it. I know George is going to be balls to the wall, man.
Oh, they're both of them. Lewis too.
Yeah. Well, it's qualifying. To me, with qualifying, it seems like Lewis sometimes played a long game in qualifying, right? That if he's not able to get up in the top 3 or whatever. Once he gets, it's either the second, or the third, the third row or something like that, he'll use strategy to come back up there, because I know that he'll be out to try and get that. Not saying he's not up for all the races, but this one especially because, Famu will be there and all this other stuff. He'll be really, charged to move forward and try and do something. So, we'll see. But it's kind of there because I'm not sure where Ferrari is right now. Really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have 2 Brits. You know what I mean? On the podium. And we're going to have I think it's going to be either Russell or Lewis, but I'm really sure it's going to be Lando on that podium. And I think they're going to be battling out. If you notice, Lewis in the last 2 races have been in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he's getting his mojo back slowly but surely. And I think if he even comes in second or third on this race, he's going to try and finish out the year strong.
Yeah.
I think Lando right now, if I'm just a betting man, I think Lando is going to have something to say next week to everyone. Because I think you could tell he was upset.
Of course. Today,
yeah. Right? That race should have been his in his mind. And his good friend stole it from him.
Yeah.
So now he's going to show his good friend and say, "I'm just as good as you. Stop trying to bully me." Right.
Yeah.
That's my predictions. I'm not sure who's going to come where as far as
the order.
Yeah, the order. But I think it's between those 4. and everybody else is going to be spectators, because unless something happens in the pit, or there's a puncture, or there's an accident, or some sort of weird safety car issue, those four are going to be battling it out.
The beauty is we don't have long to wait. So with that, please remember to like, share, and subscribe so you stay up to date on all things the fellas. And we will see you next Sunday after the Grand Prix at Silverstone. Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah. Adios.